Hello, everyone. Thank you for listening and watching the Football Betting Podcast with me, Tom Pipkin, and my co host, Tom Walker. We've got an action packed show as ever for you today. Full fixture list across Premier League, Championship, League One, and League Two to sink our teeth into. We're going to be bringing you our best bets across each of the leagues over the course of the next 50 minutes or so. We are, as ever, sponsored by our friends at matchbook.com. You can bag yourself a £30 money back as a free bet offer using the sign-up code TFB Podcast upon registration. Tom, playing to get stuck into, excited for this pod.
Very excited for this pod. Really kind of getting towards the World Cup now. So, one way of looking at it is, really got to enjoy domestic football whilst we can because we, research these leagues and know them a bit better than we do some of the teams at the World Cup. And on the other hand, looking forward to getting the teeth stuck into the greatest show on earth. So, it's a weird but exciting time and really excited to get stuck into the Premier League, starting off with the early kickoff, Tom.
Yeah, loads of games on Saturday in the Prem this week, which is a nice change. Just to mention, all the odds we're going to read out on the show today are going to be taken from matchbook.com. Starting off, Leicester against Man City. So Leicester are priced at 11.0 for the win, 6.4 for the draw, and 1.32 for City. Leicester, slight upturn in form, haven't they? They've kept 3 clean sheets in a row, winning the last 2 against Wolves and Leeds. How do you think Man City are going to be an obstacle too far for this resurgent Leicester side?
I do, but I could definitely see them hitting the back of the net. As you mentioned, Tom, it's actually 4 and 5 for clean sheets. So it's definitely not going to be an easy nut to crack for Man City, but we have to respect that Man City's domestic form has been almost perfect. Obviously, 1 or 2 little hiccups. I'm not sure how much we read into the Champions League, Tom. Feels to me a couple of rotations, maybe foot off the gas, qualification all
If
sorted.
this could score penalties, I think they'll be all right.
Yeah. I wonder how long he's going to be on them for. Man City and yes is where I've landed, Tom. It's 2.82. You talk about Leicester improving defensively, and they have, but attacking wise, they've been brilliant as well. You're talking about their upturn in form. They've actually scored in every single one of their last 7 games, going back to even when they were pretty bad. So in a 5-2 defeat away at Brighton, they still got 2. A 6-2 defeat away at Tottenham, still got 2. 4-0 against Forest, lost 2-1 against Bournemouth, but still got a goal. The 0-0 with Palace is the anomaly there. 2 against Leeds and 4 away at Wolves. James Maddison purring, and Tom, that strike from Yuri Tillemans, woof, delicious. I think if Brighton can get one at the Etihad in their current guise, I don't see why Leicester can't get one at the KP. So, Man City in yes, 2.82.
Cool. Right, let's move into the 3 o'clocks then. Starting off with Bournemouth against Spurs, 5.5 for Bournemouth, 4.0 for the draw, and 1.73 for Spurs. I'm falling on the side of Spurs here. However, it's not the most confident I've been in them all season. And at 1.73, it scares me a little bit. Bournemouth, after what seemed like a really good spell, they seem to have really dropped off in recent weeks. The home form doesn't make for fantastic reading. They've only scored 2 goals in the last 5 home games, and they both came in the same game. That was a 2-1 win against Leicester. So in the other 4 games, they drew a blank, most recently losing 1-0 at home to Southampton. And that concerns me. I just feel like that kind of... you can't call it a new manager bounce, can you? The sacking Scott Parker bounce and Gary O'Neill coming in. It's kind of wearing off a bit now for Bournemouth, and they're starting to slip a bit further down the table to a place where potentially a lot of people thought they probably would be. I think Spurs will win. I think it'll be. I don't think they'll hammer Bournemouth, but if Spurs won this 2-0, I don't entirely trust this Spurs side, as you can probably tell by me speaking now. But yeah, Bournemouth just seem really goal shy at home, and Spurs have obviously got that quality in their squad to make them capable of getting a result here.
Yeah, I'm not quite ready to be reading out Tottenham at the moment, Tom. Lots of question marks and lots of negativity swirling around. Performances haven't been great. They're really missing Romero, Højbjerg, and Kulusevski. 3 players that transformed them to Champions League bankers, I would say. So yeah, really missing the spine of their team at the moment. So not for me.
Into Brentford against Wolves then. 2.24 for Brentford, 3.6 for the draw, and 3.5 for Wolves. I was looking at this and I was thinking, yeah, probably Brentford. I feel like Brentford, and I might be wrong here. This might be just a warped memory, but I feel like we recommend them quite a lot on the pod, and they let us down quite a lot.
Yeah, maybe.
But I do think they'll win again this week. I'm going back there again. 2.24 for the win. Their record at home is pretty decent, really. They've played 6. They've won 3, drawn 2, and lost 1. The one defeat came to Arsenal. They've beaten Man U, beaten Leeds, drew with Chelsea, beaten Brighton. So they've picked up some decent results at home. Wolves are just hopeless away from home. They've not won a single game away from home all season. They've only just drawn 1. So that's 1 draw, 5 defeats from their 6 away games in the Premier League. Still without a permanent manager. And yeah, until Wolves kind of sort out the managerial situation, I'm going to go nowhere near them. But yeah, poor all round for Wolves, and Brentford should be getting 3 points at home this weekend to kind of counterbalance their poor away form.
Yeah, Wolves, worst team in the league at the moment for me, even though they're not bottom of the league. They haven't won any of the last 13 away games, Tom.
Jeez.
Going back, obviously going back a little bit there, and they've lost 3 in a row. Yeah, a club with 0 outlets. Stole this from another podcast, so I'm not going to claim it as my own. But not a single player who started their last Premier League fixture has scored more than 5 goals in a season before. So they are really, really goal shy at the moment. They are poor at the back as well. Collins' injury, not helping anything. And yeah, Tom, they have shelved the managerial stuff till after the World Cup. It's not going to be too late, but whoever comes in is going to have an absolute almighty task on their hands.
They are indeed. Right, up next, we've got the Graham Potter derby, Brighton against Chelsea. Speak to me, because I'll read out the odds, and Chelsea seem very generous. But Brighton are 3.1 at home, 3.4 for the draw, and 2.54 for Chelsea. When I saw the price, I expected Chelsea to be much more around the evens mark, not 2.54. What are your thoughts on this particular game?
Yeah, totally. So the one thing I will say about Brighton is I do think they've been a little bit unlucky recently, especially the Forest game. Of course, people will point to that. I put it down to some poor finishing and some good goalkeeping and a little bit of bad luck. I think they were Man City is Man City. Most teams lose there. I think they were competitive. I think there is building blocks there, and they do have a strong team. And maybe they're being priced up as if they still have Graham Potter in charge. Maybe they're being priced up as kind of the best of the rest, almost. But yeah, Tom, Chelsea, another test away from home in midweek. Salzburg, they may not be called Barcelona or Bayern Munich or anything like that, but they're a really good team, very capable, and a lot of players on the radar of a lot of other European clubs. So that's a really good 2-1 win there, especially, Salzburg equalising as well. Almost beat Man United as well at home for that Casemiro goal. The Brentford game was an absolute stinker. And I suppose the Villa game, Tom, that was under Steven Gerrard. Villa battered them, really, the first half in particular. And then even the second half, Villa could have got something out of it. Maybe there's a crack there, but no, I'm with you. I'm pretty bemused what's going on with the pricing. I don't know if the bookies know something that we don't, but we're looking at Chelsea, who haven't lost in their last 9, and Brighton haven't won in their last 5. I feel like I'm being lured into a trap here, Tom, but this is Premier League price of the weekend, no?
It's got to be, hasn't it?
It's got to be.
Although, like you say, it seems like a trap. When you see a price that seems too good to be true, I feel like most of the time it does turn out to be too good to be true.
I'd agree.
But yeah, I'll be sucked in. I'm
Oh
100%.
yeah.
I'll be sucked in some
Yeah.
way, shape, form.
Yeah.
1.43 is the price for double chance, so there is a bit of a drop there in
Nah,
terms of
not interested.
Chelsea to win or draw. But yeah, I think if you're going to go for something this game, Chelsea on the nose for that price. Certainly, that's the way we'd say to go. Up next, then Palace against Southampton, 2.02 for Palace, 3.65 for the draw, and 4.1 for the Saints to get the win. This is for me a case of good home side versus pretty poor away side, really, and that's reflected in the odds. Palace generally pretty good home form so far in the league. They've won 3 of the last 5, beating Wolves, Leeds, and Aston Villa. The defeat coming at home to Chelsea, and then Southampton struggling on the road. They've played 6 away from home. They've lost 4, won 2, and their most recent win coming last weekend against that goal shy at home Bournemouth team, which we've just spoken about. So, yeah, for me, I think Palace should get the job done here. I think they're a better team than Southampton. Yeah, I've not got an awful lot to say on this one, to be honest, apart from I think Palace are a better team. They've got a better home form. Southampton tend to struggle away, don't score many goals away from home either. And yeah, I think it's probably priced up correctly.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I do get a bit nervous when we have a mid-table clash because, as I say, almost every week, the reason these teams are mid-table is because they're inconsistent. I've been very strong on Palace all season and will continue to do so. I think they're better than what their league position shows, which is 13th. And yeah, Tom, you kind of read it right away, really, for me. Just 4 goals scored on the road for Southampton so far this season. I would love Palace to have scored more than 9 at home, to be honest with you. But as you said, they've been pretty strong, winning 50% of their home games. I think as long as the Eze, Elise, Edouard kind of vibe clicks, obviously Zaha as well, left out their best player, I think Palace will get a home win, yeah.
Yep, cool. Final 3 o'clock then. Newcastle against Aston Villa. 1.88 for Newcastle, 3.85 for the draw, and 4.6 for Aston Villa. Will it be a good evening or a good afternoon for Unai Emery on Tyneside?
No, it won't. I know, Tom, you in the past you've had the kind of new manager bounce fear, and sometimes it's worked for you and sometimes it hasn't, and you know that I don't massively believe in it. I think Emery will improve Villa, but I don't think this is the game where it happens. Yeah, Villa were great against Brentford. Bit of an inexplicably bad performance from Brentford. But yeah, Villa absolutely excellent, flying out the traps. But this is a different test. We're talking about a team with the best defence in the Premier League, 10 conceded, and have played a game more than joint second place, Man City, Arsenal, Chelsea. So they played a game more and still conceded less goals than everybody else. Miguel Almiron, one of the best players in the league at the moment on current form. I'm not saying overall, but on form, he's one of the danger men. And Newcastle just seem to be such a well-oiled machine, defensively sturdy. Everyone knows their job. They've got a great spine now with Nick Pope, Bruno Guimaraes in midfield is having an absolute field day. And Villa, I don't know what to expect from Emery, which is probably why I'm not massively leaning towards Newcastle. But I do like the look of them at home. 1.88 is the price. I mean, 4.6 for a new manager bounce win. That's pretty big money.
Yeah, I I was kind of toying with maybe the draw 3.85. I feel like I'll probably leave this game alone, but I'll come back
Mm,
and see Newcastle have won 2-0 and I won't be surprised one bit.
yeah.
But yeah, like you say, I like a new manager bounce. So 3.85 for the draw kind of appealed to me. This Newcastle side have drawn 3 games at St James's Park already this season against Bournemouth, Palace, and Man City. So there is form for the draw. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. We'll see how the appointment pans out because I think it'll be generally a decent one for Villa.
Yeah,
To be fair,
steady.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, agreed. Into the 5:30 then, Fulham against Everton, 2.42 for Fulham, 3.5 for the draw, 3.2 for Everton.
Take it away,
Fulham,
mate. Take it away.
this is the part of the show where we can just copy and paste from last week.
Just put last week's clipping in.
And the week before that, and the week before that, and the week before that.
Do you know what? I haven't even put any... I don't mean sound lazy. I haven't even researched this game because I just know what you're going to read. I knew you'd be all over it.
Yeah, well, there's 2 things. And it's the Fulham factor. It's certainly not the Everton factor in any of these tips because Everton aren't exactly the most free scoring, although, yes, they scored 3 last weekend. Apart from that, not the most free scoring team in the league. But yeah, both teams to score or over 2.5. Maybe both teams to score and over 2.5 if you want to combine the two. 8 of the last 9 Premier League games for Fulham have been both teams to score. 9 of the last 9 games have been over 2.5. So some of Fulham's most recent results: 3-2, 3-0, 2-2, 3-1, 4-1, 3-2, 2-1, 2-1, 2-1. So goals all over the shop, usually in both nets. The only blank was when they beat Villa 3-0 in the game that got Gerrard sacked the other week. So I fully expect both teams to score again based on those trends, over 2.5 again, probably based on those trends. So the prices are for over 2.5. It's pretty generous, to be honest. It's 1.93, and both teams to score is 1.75. So despite those strong trends, the pricing is not all that bad.
Yeah, I'm totally with you, mate. And yeah, fully expecting the results to fall your way yet again this week when it comes to Fulham. Yeah, absolutely. I feel like Everton are sticky, but I'm not. I feel like I could go all season and not tip them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Right, finally for Saturday, a 7:45 kickoff. So we've got an evening game on Saturday, which is nice. 1.31 for Liverpool, 6.4 for the draw, and 11.0 for Leeds. Leeds coming into this game in some really tough form. They've not won in the league since they beat Chelsea on the 21st of August. That was 9 games ago, sorry now. 4 consecutive defeats, home and away. Pressure really seems to be cranking up now on Jesse Marsh. 4 away defeats in a row. A lot of negative stats, trends, fan feeling around Leeds and Marsh at the moment. I can't see them getting a win this weekend. I can't see them getting a draw this weekend, to be honest. Can you see them?
No.
Anything other than a Liverpool win?
No, nothing. Obviously we're looking at, when you're looking at Liverpool and you're looking at a weakness and you have a look at that Forest win. Forest had green shoots. I know it's hard for other people to understand who may not have been watching Forest as closely as we had, but they've been slowly improving. And I mean, very slowly improving. And someone was going to get beat by Forest. I don't see that with Leeds at all. There are no green shoots at the moment. There's nothing for me to cling on to try and make this argument interesting or, tip out a big outsider. Liverpool had that away game against Ajax. That's a big test, right? That's a massive potential banana skin. They lose that off the back of the Forest loss as well. And then maybe this is a bit of a different conversation, but I still think I would tip Liverpool even if they lost against Ajax because Leeds are showing nothing right now. Absolutely nothing.
Especially with this game being at Anfield as well. It's been a while since Liverpool lost at Anfield. If it was at Ellen Road, maybe like with Forest winning at the City Ground, you could make some kind of argument for Leeds, but away from home, I agree, definitely not.
Yeah.
But with Forest beating Liverpool, Liverpool beat Man City, Liverpool are going in the Champions League away and beating Ajax. Do you think in your head, Forest are, Liverpool beat Man City, so Forest beat Liverpool. That makes Forest better than Man City.
Yeah, 100%.
And Liverpool beat Ajax.
Yeah.
Forest beat Liverpool, so Forest are better than Ajax.
Yeah, 100%.
That's how it works, isn't
That's exactly how it works. Yeah.
it? Moving on to Sunday, then we've got two games, and this one does feature Nottingham Forest, Arsenal versus Forest. It's the 2:00 kickoff. 1.22 for Arsenal, 7.8 for the draw, and 17.5 for Forest. Yeah, as optimistic as I like to be, and as good as we were, and as solid as we were last weekend against Liverpool, I don't expect us to get anything at the Emirates away from home this weekend against Arsenal. Their record at home is pretty fantastic. They've won 8 consecutive Premier League games, scoring at least 2 goals in each game. And whilst I think we won't get hammered, I do think Arsenal will probably win this game 2-0 if I had to put an exact score on it. I think it'll be fairly low scoring. Both teams have had 5 consecutive games under 2.5 goals. That's across all competitions. I could see the same again here. Yeah, I think a narrow win, probably fairly comfortable, but narrow win for Arsenal.
Yeah, exactly that. I think the days of Forest getting battered all around the pitch and, being like a bit of a laughing stock are gone. I don't think you'll see Forest concede more than 3 for the rest of the season. I think, the biggest margin they'll lose by is probably 1 or 2. I know that sounds like a knee-jerk reaction, but Steve Cooper's changed everything, absolutely everything. The way we played last season compared to how we're playing at the moment is night and day, and we're doing what we need to do to hopefully stay in the league. And yeah, Arsenal, Tom, we're coming off 2 games where Arsenal haven't won, Southampton away and PSV Eindhoven away. And I know it's back at the Emirates, and you rightfully pointed out how incredible they are, but I don't think this is going to be as easy as everyone thinks. Of course, it's top v bottom, so I think if you're kind of being a bit lazy about it and you're looking at it like that, you might be thinking this could be 4th. You might be looking at the Man City result where Forest lost 6. You might be thinking it's going to be the same thing. I'm going Arsenal and under 3.5, Tom, just as that little extra cushion of safety. It's 2.16. If you Tom wanted to go for Arsenal under 2.5, it is a lot more appetizing at the 3.95. But I think it's worth taking a hit for that extra cushion of safety. Because Forest previously in the season, as I said, I don't think this is going to happen anymore, but they did go for a trend of conceding 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So maybe that will come back.
Yeah, no, smart advice. And that leads into our final game then, which is 4:15. It's Manchester United against West Ham. 1.75 for Man U, 4.2 for the draw, and 5.1 for West Ham. I was looking at Manchester United's home form, and the games they've played at home so far this season, I think they've probably had the toughest home run in the league, and they've done very well, I'd say. I think it probably goes under the radar a bit, actually, how well they've done at home so far this season. So they've beaten Brentford, beaten Liverpool, beaten Arsenal, and beaten Spurs, drew with Newcastle, and lost to at the time informed Brighton early on in the season. They played 6 good sides there at home, especially when you're looking at they've beaten Spurs, Arsenal, and Liverpool at home. There's a massive credit to them for that, and for that reason, I think they'll win again, 1.75 at home to West Ham. I appreciate West Ham are doing fairly well at the moment. They've picked up, but away from home, still pretty shocking. They've won 1 of the last 7, and I don't expect that to change at Old Trafford this weekend.
Yeah, I think West Ham are doing better. Right? I think that's how I'm going to summarize it. I'm not going to get too excited. I still think they lack goal threats. They've got a lot of players, but I think a lot of players that will look back on the end of the season who have scored 5 or less. Last year, obviously, it was Bowen and Antonio. Neither of those two are firing at the moment. Skamaka taking a while to settle. Notching 1 or 2 here, there, and everywhere. And then people like Ben Rama and Fornals, etc., just not consistent enough. And I don't see them breaching this Man U defence. You're right to point out their home form, Tom. That's a really good point and something that I didn't really notice. But yeah, they can go into the Champions League spots with a win, and obviously results going their way this weekend. So yeah, I think Man U will use that as motivation, and they will bounce into top 4 contention again. Man United for me.
Cool. Okay, then. Well, that wraps up the Premier League. Let's just take a moment to talk about Matchbook, and then we shall dive into the Championship, League One and League Two.
Yeah, really want to say thank you to Matchbook for their continued support. And Matchbook and the Football Betting Podcast want to join forces and offer you a sign-up offer as a new customer. So it's 30 quid back as a free bet if your first bet loses. So, for example, if you're looking at, I don't know, Forest this weekend away at Arsenal at 17.5, you want to chuck something on there. Let's say the likely result happens that Arsenal win. Instead of losing that money, you'll get it back as a free bet to reinvest into something a little smarter. So TFB Podcast is the promo code you're going to need. TFB Podcast, as in the Football Betting Podcast. It's over 18s only, of course, a couple of terms and conditions. But yeah, we would absolutely love it if you could support us and therefore Matchbook by signing up.
Yeah, absolutely. Please do check that out, guys. With that done, let's move into the Championship. And what's that noise?
I have no idea. This wasn't pre-planned, so I'm not sure.
It probably sounds pretty dodgy when we hear that back on the recording. But that is me getting sucked into a price.
Oh, I love it. Yeah. What is it?
Friday night, QPR away at Birmingham. 3.1 is the prize for QPR to get the win away at St Andrews. And, considering this is a team that are second in the league, on very good form generally, they've won 5 of the last 6 games they've won. So they're coming into this in fantastic form. Away from home, they've won 3 of the last 4. 1 defeat, that was away at Luton. So, I feel like I can forgive them for that. Luton are a strong home side. And, yeah, I just think lots of confidence around the team, the club. Beale staying and turning down Wolves. We recorded last week saying he was off to Wolves.
Yeah, we did, yeah.
This week, they've got another win under their belts and he's staying. Yeah. So, this is a club that's going to be full of confidence, on a real high, on a winning run. And I see the price of 3.1 and I can't turn it down. Birmingham are a sticky team. They're nowhere near as bad as I thought they're going to be this season. But yeah, I just can't turn down the price.
Yeah, see, I'm not going to go near it. I think, I know we're pressed for time, but I think we need to re-educate ourselves with Birmingham. Sometimes Millwall is the most classic example ever. They do the same thing for so long, and you fail to recognise improvement because it's just ingrained in your brain. Like, Tom, if I said to you, Millwall, you would say home form, set pieces, strong defence, something like that, right? Sometimes, especially this season, some of that couldn't be further from the truth, right? And I feel like with Birmingham, they've been so bad for so long that it's kind of ingrained in our brains that, Birmingham, they're absolutely terrible. I actually think they're doing all right at the moment, and I think they've got way more goal threats than they've ever had before. And yes, it's still an absolute car crash off the pitch, but they're up in 15th. I know it's the Championship, so I'm kind of cheating. they're 6 points off of playoffs at the moment. I am not saying for 1 second they're going to make it, but I'm not so keen. I'm really not so keen. You know, they've been unbeaten in 10 out of 16 games. Yeah, not for me. But Tom, variety is the spice of life. So there we go.
Isn't it just? Who do you fancy in the championship?
Burnley all day.
Mm.
Going against my arch nemesis Reading, who I've been peltering for 5 seasons when we started this in 2017. But yeah, Burnley for me, best team in the league. I think they'll win the league in the end. They're obviously top of it right now, so don't mean to look like a genius there. They've obviously only lost 1 game, and when you have a look, they've won 8 and drew 8. So if they could just turn a couple of those draws into wins, then this league is there for the taking, because we've spoke about its weakness before. Previously, I spoke about Reading tumbling down the league, as I expected them to, Tom. I think it was when we were talking about them and they were second or something ludicrous like that. They're still in 8th, so credit to them. But they've lost 7 matches. Just as an FYI, West Brom have lost 6. They're second bottom. We're not going to use Coventry because they've played 2 games, sometimes 3 games less than everyone else. Middlesbrough have lost 7. Wigan, Blackpool, Stoke, like these are all teams kind of in the bottom 10. So Reading have lost more or just as much as those teams. They've obviously won 8 and only drew 1, so that's where they're getting their points from. But yeah, for me, I feel like Reading are dropping off, and this is the toughest game in the league for me. So Burnley, home bankers, it is 1.63, so it's pretty short, but I think it's short with reason.
Yeah, that's the standout, isn't it? In this league this weekend, absolutely. For me, another decent price. I don't think you will like it again, but I'm going to put it out there. It's Watford away at Wigan. So 2.46 is the price for Watford, and I'm going to take it a step further and say Watford to win and both teams to score, which is 5.5. Wigan have the worst home form in the Championship. They've played 8 at home, winning just 1 and shipping on average just under 2 goals a game. But they do tend to lose having scored a goal. So they've lost 5 of the last 6 games. That's across home and away. They've lost each of them with both teams scoring. So like 2-1s, 4-1s, 2-1s, a 3-1, that kind of thing. So that record is part of the reason for the tip, and the second part of the reason for the tip is the stuff I've been seeing online about Wigan off the field this week. Rumours going around that players have been paid late again for the 3rd time in recent months. Is the club up for sale? Is the club not up for sale? There's a statement that's come out from the chief exec, I think it was, trying to calm the fears of fans and everyone, saying, players will be paid. It was a bank glitch. The club's not up for sale, etc., etc. But yeah, I don't know. It's not. They're not in good form, and that kind of thing just doesn't help whatsoever. So for me, I'm going to go for Watford here. Hopefully, they can build on that momentum that saw them beat Luton 4-0 last weekend. So if they can put in another performance like that, they'll get the win this weekend here. But yeah, they're very yo-yo-ish at the moment at Watford, which scares me. But Watford to win, both teams to score.
I do like it, to be honest.
Oh.
Yeah, I do like it.
Lovely.
I flirted with it myself. Just feel like Watford have got so many individuals, they don't even have to play well, to be honest. Just Ismail Assar's just got to play a 7 out of 10, and that'll be that. Watford will win. Move on. Coventry and Blackpool. Tom, I think this game is going to be both teams to score, but it does need some explaining. It's 1.93, and basically this is a very lopsided both teams to score tip. We are looking at Blackpool as the culprits. 4 games in a row now where the combined goals, have been over 3.5. So I'm going to read their little run that they're on at the moment. 3-1 win, 3-3 draw, 3-1 win, 4-2 win. So they're looking pretty good at the moment. And their game is against Coventry. Coventry at home. There's not as much data to go off, of course. So I did try and work out how many goals they've conceded through their games. They're 2 games back from everyone else. And then I worked out the average and then added that on twice more to try and work out a average compared to 16 games. I'm hoping that made sense. If they carry on at the regular rate, they're going to have a bang average mid-table defence. At the moment, it is playing pretty well, to be honest with you. Their last game was both teams to score and over 3.5 goals. Previously, though, there is not a lot of history for both teams to score. Bless you, sir. It's about 6 games without both teams to score, to be honest with you. However, as I said, this is more on the side of Blackpool and just 2 of the best kind of performing strikers in the league at the moment going up against each other. And I'm sure there's going to be plenty of gaps. Victor Gyökeres, 5 in 14 for him. Jerry Yates, 8 in 16 for him. Theo Corbianu on the wing as well for Blackpool, 3 in 14 for the young winger. Charlie Patino pulling some strings in midfield. Kenny Dougal getting involved as well. And, Gustavo Harmer, I think, is suspended for Coventry, unfortunately. Otherwise, this would have been a lot more enticing. But Matt Godden should start 3 in 12 for Godden. Lots of talent on the pitch. Blackpool, an absolute fun house at the moment. And both teams to score is my tip at 1.93.
I like it. No more on the champ for me, unless you've got anything.
No, but I will give a special prize to the person that can tip a winner between Hull and Blackburn. The most unpredictable duo going head to head in Hull this weekend. So if you can predict what's going to happen there, you win a magic prize.
Yeah. Right, League One then. I'm going to get us kicked off in League One with a team that I don't think will lose, and it's a pretty decent price. Bristol Rovers away at Derby County. So Bristol to either win or draw, so the double chance is 2.1 with Matchbook, which I thought was a good price at over evens. And this is a side who, in midweek, went to Hillsborough and drew 1-1 with Sheffield Wednesday. Prior to that, the weekend, they drew with Plymouth. They were 2-0 down in that game and mounted a second half comeback to draw 2-2, so very impressive. And then prior to that, they've not lost since the 24th of September. They won 5 games in a row across all competitions before those 2 impressive draws against 2 of League One's top sides. So they're going to come into this with heaps of confidence after those results and the run they're on. And Derby haven't exactly been great under Paul Warne so far. I think their record in League One since he took over stands at 2 wins, 2 defeats and a draw. They've not scored for the last 2 games. And I just think Bristol should have nothing to fear going to Pride Park this weekend. They've took points off the top 2 teams in this division. Ipswich aside, you could argue. But I think they'll get at least a draw at a very good price.
Yeah, there's absolutely no way you're getting... what did you say, 2.1?
Yeah, 2.1.
Yeah, 0% chance you're getting that unless one team's relegated from the champ and one team's promoted from League 2. Absolutely no chance. But yeah, right now, Tom, sometimes we share our long-term thoughts on the pod, but we go week to week and we just go who's better right now, right? And Bristol Rovers for me. So my League One tip of the week is Bolton. They're priced at 2.16. They're at home against Oxford. I mean, a couple of stats straight off the bat here. Bolton haven't lost in their last 4. They haven't lost in any of the last 7 at home. and they've won 3 on the spin. Oxford they look like a shadow, Tom, of seasons gone by. I'm a big believer in kind of cycles with management. Managers can take them so long, and then maybe, they keep trying to get promoted, keep trying, and maybe the club, the fans, the players, maybe they lose faith in the constant guy driving them in charge, and that's Cole Robinson. It feels like this is a bit of a reality check for Oxford, down in 20th. They're not going to get relegated, absolutely no chance. But feels like one of those seasons where they have to accept that, what they've been doing recently has been good, but it's not been quite good enough, and they've missed the boat. I've spoke before about, when you get that opportunity, that like 2-3 year window where you bang at it and you can get promoted or get in the Champions League or whatever, you got to take it, because cycles in football mean that your best players will leave and management leave and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, Bolton up there in 5th. We had them down, Tom, as a team before the start of the season that could disrupt that kind of top 6 and, gate crash the big heavyweights that were talked about pre-season. And, 6 wins from 8 at home leave me really excited. The only thing that I found when I was doing my research here is Bolton's top scorer has 2 goals.
Bloody hell.
But they've had 13 different scorers this season.
Wow.
So I'm not sure if you're the kind of person who likes goals spread out, or if you like, the front 3 all to score, 5 or 6 at this stage. But yeah, 13 different scorers. The top goal scorer by virtue of games played is their midfielder, Kieran Lee, who has 2 in 9. So that worries me a bit, where the goal's going to come from. I'm not 100% sure. Afolayan is someone I really like for them, but has been really quiet. And Dion Charles, I think he scored 2 in 1 game, maybe. He's only got 2 all season. I thought he was going to hit the ground running and go off, but he hasn't. Oxford, couple of injuries as well, just to add to the mix. But yeah, even with a full-strength side, I'd be backing Oxford. Bolton, I'd be backing Bolton.
Yeah, well, where are the goals going to come from? Everywhere, mate. All over the pitch.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Right?
It's going to be 5-0, 5 different scorers.
Yeah, no, I like that. I was going to say Bolton myself. I didn't realise that scorer thing, so that's cool. Didn't know that. How about if I say to you, you can get the 5th best away side in League One at over 3-1? Oof. Would you like that?
Well, what's the other team?
So Lincoln, they're priced at 4.3 away at Port Vale.
I really like Port Vale. I do.
Do you?
You're going to have to put your salesman hat on and convince me here.
Right. Well, Port Vale, let's talk about them first. At home, not particularly impressive. They've won 1 of 7 games at home. So won 1, drawn 3, lost 3. So they don't have a very strong home record. So we can cross that one off. Why won't Lincoln win? Lincoln away from home recently, been in excellent form. They've won 3 of the last 4. That includes scoring 6 away at Bristol Rovers. But the most recent 2 are the more impressive 2. They beat Ipswich 1-0 and they beat Barnsley 1-0. So if you're going away to Portman Road, to Oakwell and winning 2-0, you can damn sure go away to Port Vale, who aren't even good at home, and beat them. This is, for me, I just look at this game and I can't understand why Lincoln are such outsiders against Port Vale. I just don't get it. Don't get it.
Yeah, I understand. I feel like Port Vale are sticky. I really like Darryl Clark and everything he's built there. I don't like going against him, but I get what you're saying. I'm also learning a bit more about Lincoln because I feel like they finally woke up this season. So I feel like I'm a bit behind on my knowledge of them. But anyway, moving on, Wickham, Tom. Wickham's definitely something I'm interested in. And it is tight at 1.52, but we do have to bear in mind they're playing bottom of the league. Morecambe at Adams Park. Anis Mehmeti, maybe the best player in the league this season, potentially. He's got 6 in 15 from a kind of attacking midfield position. Has the little Albanian. Just, you never kind of feel like Wickham are quite there this season. I think, you remember when I said we have to re-educate ourselves with Birmingham? I feel like we have to do that about Wickham as well, because, in my mind, Wickham at League One level is pretty automatic. But they are down in 13th at the moment. They have won 6 of 15, avoiding defeat in 8 of those. And, their home record is pretty 50-50. Played 7, won 3, drew 1, lost 3. But, I look at this Morecambe game and I think if they've got aspirations of finishing in that top 6, then this is a game they've got to win. I wish they weren't coming off a home defeat to Cambridge, but that's not enough to put me off. I will still back Wickham, 1.52. This game's played 10 times, Wickham win 8, no problem.
Okay, no more from me in League One. Do you have any?
I just have a little fun one.
Okay.
I might have a flutter on Burton Albion away at Sheffield Wednesday. 7.8. Bit of a fun one for me. Just feel like it could be a bit of a banana skin. Not massively impressed with Wednesday at the moment. And Dino Marmria, Big Dino, he's got Burton Albion playing some good stuff, to be honest. I think it could be it could be a bit of a banana skin. So I might have a bit of a flutter on Burton.
I love that he's never just Dino anymore. It's Big Dino, Hench Dino.
Yeah, like big. He's got the Big Sam treatment.
Yeah. Apart from he's not big as in the way Big Sam's big, is
No, Dino's been. Yeah, Dino could bench press Big Sam probably.
Yeah, he could. Right, shall we go to League Two?
Yeah, take it away, mate.
Let's take it away. The cracker of both teams to score tip, I reckon. AFC Wimbledon against Harrogate Town. Wimbledon without a clean sheet in 12 consecutive games. Harrogate without a clean sheet in 8 consecutive games. The last 7 consecutive Harrogate games have been both teams to score. 7 of the last 8 AFC Wimbledon games have been both teams to score. Price for both teams to score, quite a generous 1.84. Geez, that rounded well as well. That was good.
Lovely. I like that. Yeah. Well, I feel like Wimbledon. I'd love to know. I haven't done the research, and I should have. I'd love to know how many clean sheets Wimbledon have kept in the last 2.5 years. I feel like every week we read out how bad they've been. Must have seen a lot of opposition goals over that time, the Dons fans.
Last season, didn't they go about 24, 25 games or something without winning?
Yeah, something like that, yeah. Ended
must
up
have been
a
long time seeing many clean sheets.
If anyone's got time on their hands and want to help out the pod, please tweet us, T_FB podcast. Warsaw, Tom, I don't typically like tipping teams that are wobbling around that mid-table, as you know. But Rochdale, I know Jim Bentley's come in and he's kind of improved them a bit. Like, they're not in the bottom 2 anymore. They are 22nd and 2 points clear of safety. They've got a Warsaw team in 13th who I think are just pretty average, to be honest with you. But I think that's all you need to be Rochdale at the moment. No wins in their past 3 games for Rochdale. A creditable draw against Tranmere last time out, but a home defeat to the team you just mentioned, Tom, Wimbledon. Just a bit of a sticky team, Rochdale, but Warsaw should have enough, I think, to get a victory. I really like the Danny Johnson signing, and I mean, this is not exactly, this isn't me kind of discovering gravity here. This is Danny Johnson, 9 in 15, on loan from Mansfield, incredibly. He's absolutely on fire at the moment. A decent home record. They've only lost 2 of 8, winning 4, drawing 2, scoring 14 in the process. It's a decent home return. Just not overly fancying a team who have the second worst attack in the league in Rochdale and the fourth worst defense. So, yeah, I feel like this could be a kind of in America, they call it a sleeper pick. It's like something that people aren't thinking about, but it's right there in front of you, if you know what I mean. You're just glazing over it. 2.14 for me.
Cool. Another both teams to scorer for me. This is Doncaster against Gillingham. So both teams to score in this game is 1.89. So again, not a bad price considering these are two sides who, one, have plenty of games both teams to score, and two, can't really keep a clean sheet, especially in the case of Doncaster Rovers. 12 consecutive games since they've last kept a clean sheet. In the league, that came on the 27th of August against Northampton Town. So, it's a long old time ago now. 7 of their last 9 games have been both teams to score. And as for Gillingham, 6 consecutive games without a clean sheet. 5 of the last 6 games have been both teams to score. So, another couple of sides here with fairly strong both teams to score stats, struggling defensively. So, hopefully we can take advantage at a good price for the BTTS tip.
Anything else for you, mate? I flirted with Grimsby away at Hartlepool at 2.18, but I bottled it. I don't know if you've got anything else for the masses.
Couple, yeah. I also flirted with Grimsby. I think their away form especially is pretty good. Hartlepool, 5 losses in a row across all competitions, and Grimsby have won 5 of the last 7 games away from home. So, aside from their 1-0 loss to Barrow last time out, they've been very good away from home generally. So I think they're worth considering. I did look at Bradford at home to Crawley. Then I remembered
I tell you what, Football Betting Podcast Twitter is going in absolute meltdown right now.
You didn't let me finish. What I was going to say is I looked at Bradford at home to Crawley, and then I remembered it's Bradford, and they're on the ban list, so they're not being mentioned.
That's how much it's ingrained in my brain. I didn't even let you finish because I was so appalled. But I mean, I don't know how they, plan on getting promoted like this, because it's not good. It's not consistent at all, and it's a punter's nightmare.
Absolute nightmare. And then the only other one was Stevenage. So obviously they're doing very well this weekend. They're away at Colchester. Stevenage 2.12 for the victory. Colchester struggling at the moment, really. They've lost 5 of the last 7 games in the league. Not kept a clean sheet for 15 consecutive games. So Stevenage at above evens could be a decent price to get the victory away from home this weekend. And that is the lot for me.
Lovely. So we'll just pivot to briefly mention last week's treble. Okay, that's that. So moving on to this week's treble, Tom. We've changed the record a little bit.
Yeah, so this week's treble, back it if you dare. We've gone for a both teams to score pick. So Coventry against Blackpool, AFC Wimbledon against Harrogate, and Doncaster against Gillingham. So all 3 games, both teams to score. Pays on matchbook.com, 6.82.
It is Halloween, so maybe it's not going to be too scary for us this weekend. Not sure.
Well, it makes sense that on or around Halloween that the curse will be lifted, right?
True. Very well put.
We'll see.
Okay, let's pivot to the worst game in the world, which is fantasy football. I am down in 270th. I don't know where you are, but I'm absolutely
248. I can hardly gloat.
No, honestly, I'd say that's pretty good. Do you know what? That is, where are you? 148.
248.
248. Oh no, you're crap. I was going to say if you're 148, that's pretty. 148. I was going to say that's mid-table.
So, no. I did see a green arrow this week for the first time in about 2 months, so that was a welcome return.
Yeah, it's the hardest game in the world. If you want to join our league, we've got over 300 teams in there now. If you've got a team with the fancy Premier League, like official fancy world, then you will join at your rightful spot. Just send us a DM on Twitter. We'll read out the top 10 in reverse order. James Ingham, Michael Tomlinson, Neil McCloy, Douglas Musto, Danny Whiteman, Phil Basley, Sammy Walton, Pat Ravenhall, Daniel O'Reilly, and Dan Pinsker, still top by 4 points from Daniel O'Reilly. Me and Tom just absolutely terrible. And do you know what? I'm not one of those people who is doing badly and says, "Oh yeah, I've not been trying." I check it every week and I do my transfers and everything. Like I'm well on it, and I'm so bad. So bad.
So do I. And I'm convinced my team isn't even that bad either, but clearly
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah,
but
I know.
Yeah, hey ho. Moving on to if you have enjoyed the podcast, we really, really appreciate it if you could leave us a rating or review wherever you listen to your pods.
Yeah, and we would love a follow on social media, Twitter specifically, T_FB podcast. Midweek Twitter tips, stats, insight, gambling chat, couple of retweets on there as well for those lucky people performing great content. So yeah, please join in the fun.
Yeah, and that is all then for this weekend. Please do get in touch if you have any winners on social. Let's see your bet slips. Let us know your thoughts for the games this weekend, as you already have been doing. And yeah, thank you for listening, and we'll see you again next week.